he do be struggling. Straight back, crank it to the right. A little bit more, and right there. Look at the big strong man.
Should have left the other or the other diff in there. It was so much lighter. Just plop it. Oh, gently. Alright. That was the heavy part.
Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. So today's video is a little bit shorter. This is kind of a quick little thing. I don't really know what to call it. Instructional, I guess. So basically what's going on is, if you guys are regular watchers of the channel, then you know that would be Doge. That is the EK that he is K-swapping. This is his K-series transmission. So what he's doing is, a lot of what he's doing with his swap is kind of not even a budget means, but he just doesn't want to go out and buy, say, the super expensive part that's pre-made when he himself knows how to make or modify other parts to work. And this is one of those instances. So what he wants to do is basically modify his Accord / TSX shifter from the junkyard that he scooped for just a couple of bucks.
Actually, that was the dumbass that bought one from Honda brand new.
Oh, so he bought one from Honda. Okay, so he overpaid. But yeah, so he basically just wants to modify this because why not? So you can get these things at the junkyard for, at least at our pulling days, probably 30 bucks or something like that. And then he's just running some RSX cables. I think it's push, push, pull, pull, because like some of them, when you push, they push. Other times when you push, they pull. So I think the RSX ones are push, push, if that makes sense. But essentially, we're going to be modifying this pretty simply. So I'm still a little bit confused, so I'll have him explain a little bit better. But we're basically just going to be welding on a little homemade bracket on here, and he made his own little clevis out of a bolt. And we'll kind of show you. But that's what this video is going to be. Just a quick little thing, so that way you guys have more options. Yes, you can go out, you can buy the K-Tune shifter, the Acuity, the hybrid, or just if you want, and you can just source an RSX one. Sometimes you can't find the RSX one, so this is kind of like the little in-between option. So options are always nice to have.
So I think I touched on this in one of the other videos. This is a Honda CSX, or Civic Si for JDM boys. 5-speed, so it's from like an 07 or 08 model Honda up in Canada. The reason that I got this instead of trying to hunt around local for a used one is that this came with like 70,000 miles. And when I had it open, the sinkers look great. And shipped from Canada to Arizona, this was like 500 bucks out of pocket. So you do the math. HMO, good guys, they just had a listing on their IG story the other day for a 5-speed. I don't remember what the mileage was, but it was like $900, I think. So yeah, money in pocket. The only downside is that it uses the newer style shift selector. So you guys will be somewhat familiar with those. It's pretty much the same as like a TSX or Accord style, or like a Z3. So it's all reverse. You know, your pickup points for everything on the shifter are below the fulcrum, so it's all reverse action. So it was a matter of piecemealing stuff together.
So by that you mean push is pull, pull is push?
Exactly, yeah. So you can see the ball and socket here, in case you guys haven't done any of this research or checked out pictures.
Yeah, because that's what I was just kind of briefly explaining. Yeah. Because the RSX cables are push-push, right?
Exactly, yeah. Okay. So the RSX, here's your fulcrum point, is the ball, right in the middle there. The RSX picks up here. So when you shift forward into like first or third, your motion is translated in the cable directly. It's a 1-to-1.
Right.
Whereas down here, if you pick up underneath, when I push into first or third, it pulls the cable. Cable goes this way. Right. So that's why they did this. As to why they actually went and reversed everything, that's Honda. Yeah, so that kind of throws a loop for us. I've seen in other videos, and I know Hush has swapped the shift selector out. If you're lucky enough to track down or have enough money to get one on eBay, I want to say I've seen around 200 bucks. That would save you from this whole process. You could grab one out of a 5-speed, out of like a US spec, Civic Si or RSX base, and that would get you with your normal RSX shifter, and then you wouldn't have to go through this whole mess. I didn't want to deal with that portion of it, so now I'm dealing with making this work. So This is a method for you guys using the TSX Accord setups. If you want to try and get a normal off-the-shelf set of shift cables to work for you. This is going into an EJK Civic. So I've got cables that I know work, so they're swap cables from Hybrid. There's standard RSX style connections on here. The problem is you have to change what you're doing. I hunted around for a while on McMaster Car to see if I could find some rod ends that would work for this this threading. Can't remember off the top of my head. I want to say it's quarter 28 or something like that threading, but I can't remember. Anyways, I have access to a machine shop at work. They fab me up this rod end. That's all this is. It's just a block of aluminum with the hole drilled in it and with threading on the bottom. So if you are careful, you can take these off of the Hybrid cables. Obviously void any sort of warranty you might have with them or return policy. So buyer beware there. Well, basically, underneath this rod end, it just threads on. That's a female thread onto a male thread on the cable. You can get a better look there. And I've noticed on some of Hybrid's cables too, they actually use lock nuts. On these ones they didn't. They used a bit of sealant on there. So here I'm just going to be using a lock nut because it's going to trap the assembly the same way. So it's just drilled and tapped, and I went pretty far with it so I could get as much bite, as much strength on the threading as possible. And then I'll use the lock nut to capture it and keep it from falling off. And then you can even extend it out if you need to. You get some flexibility with this to adjust your length forward and backwards.
And that basically just attaches onto right here, this part of the shifter. So we have to drill the hole out just a little bit because he said they undersized it, so we do have the hole press right there, or the drill press. And we're just gonna hog it out, and he does have his own little clevis pin and all that for the other cable that we made. So
yeah, so this is like you said, it's just there's two diameters on here, kind of tough to see. The lower one is what we're aiming for. The upper one has the hole for the clevis pin, or clevis, I guess. In the comments, correct us if we're pronouncing it wrong. So basically, yeah, this guy will just sit on there flush. We'll have a pin in there to capture it, and then when you go side-to-side movement, this will translate forward and backward on the cable, and it translates over here as your selection between, like if you're moving the shift knob left and right. A little confusing. So for the other portion of this, we gotta, unless you can find, good luck guys, but unless you can find a ball and socket attachment here, I've only seen it for gas shocks, so they're plastic and they don't seem like they're gonna be hardy enough. But if you can find a ball and socket assembly to attach on here to terminate to a rod end sort of setup, more power to you. I could not, so what my game plan here is to basically mimic the RSX style, and we got some flat stock here. I grabbed, Chris can correct me here, I think it's 1/8 stuff from Ace, just mild steel, plenty strong. And what the idea is to just use this as an idea, but just basically weld this up on the bottom here, and it's just gonna have a flat portion sticking forward. And then I've got a bolt, or you can order a proper clevis pin here, that we're gonna drill a hole, put the bolt through, and then that's gonna capture our rod end over here. So this is a metric, I believe it's an M8 for the Hybrid stuff. It's an 8mm hole. And then I'm gonna lock that in. I've accounted for the thickness of the bar stock, so that's why this looks a little loose. So the bar stock's gonna be a certain thickness, and then I've got a Honda washer that I'll put on this other side. And if we did it right, if I got my measurements right, we can put a clip or a pin in there, and then we'll be set, and I'll just cut off the extra.
A little bit of a long-winded explanation, I know, but hopefully you guys kind of get the understanding of it. So we're just gonna assemble it really quick, tack it up, and we'll show you the finished product. And unfortunately, because the car isn't taken apart and ready to be swapped yet, I can't show you that, but if you guys wanna check that out later on when he actually goes to swap it, we'll be filming it, I'm sure. And then you can kind of see it in action there. But you guys will see the gist of how it's gonna be functioning here momentarily once we weld this on.
See why I trust Chris with my fabrication stuff instead of doing all this shit myself, because I am god awful at it.
nice rounded edge, cleaned it up. You don't need a belt sander. You can definitely just do this with like a flap disc or even sandpaper. If you just do it by hand, that'll take 5 minutes. This takes 20 seconds, but definitely anything your average Joe can do with your household tools. So for this part now, I'm just gonna be drilling the hole. This is the piece, instead of bending it, because I'm feeling lazy, I don't want to bend, I'm just gonna drill the hole for this. This is the piece that the bolt for the shifter cable is actually gonna go through. Drill that hole out, and then on this end I'm just gonna weld an L, and then so that way we can then weld that to the shift cable. So drill my pilot hole. I already got my hole dimpled or whatever for the pilot hole. That's the only thing you need really special tools for is a welder. You can do this with a flux welder, $100 Harbor Freight one. Doesn't matter, but in this case, we got a good one. Go for more tack on it. So I think I may have to angle it down a little bit because it doesn't want to go into fourth all the way because the arm is swinging up.
Okay.
So we'll have to rotate it down just a hair.
I'm gonna make that a little happier.
Forget that there has to be a ground.
See if I can't sling parts everywhere here. Yeah, so even though I'm missing a couple clips here, I didn't bring enough clips, so I only have the ones for the left, right. So we're kind of a little wobbly. But yeah, she goes.
Keeps popping out.
Yeah.
But it's a success.
Looks good. I'm happy.
Well, there you guys go. Hopefully you enjoyed this semi-short little video. We got it to work. His setup is all good. So again, if you guys want to do this, really the only thing you really need, I think, at this point is access to a welder. Would make the job much easier. If not, just find a buddy or find a shop that'll just lay some tacks for you. And then a cutoff wheel and a drill. Like, you don't need a drill press. It's just I have these, and it's a little bit easier to do that way. But yeah, this is just, again, another option. Doesn't mean it's the best way to do it, but this is the way that he chose to do it because time and money. So if you guys enjoyed the video, please be sure to let me know in the comments down below. If you're new to the channel, hopefully you've considered subscribing. And if you want to help support the channel, I do have a Patreon, and I also have new merch up in the bio on the Big Cartel. So please go check that out. Support your boy. I'm kind of doing this full time at the moment, so I need the monies. But anyways, guys, do chill out. Forget about the rest, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace out.